They had the capacity to derail the entire transformation process. We would have had no democratic South Africa today had that negotiated settlement not been made. So the Nuremberg trial option was rejected as well. A third option was to do nothing. There were those who glibly said, let bygones be bygones. Let us forget the past and now concentrate on the present and the future. This was seductive. In most other countries, for instance Chile, the military dictators had given themselves a blanket amnesty before handing over to civilian rulers. I'm not going to advert just now to President General Pinochet and what's happened to him now. This option too mercifully was rejected. First of all, we cannot by mere fiat make bygones be bygones. The texture of the universe and our own makeup render this impossible. Those bygones, unless properly and adequately dealt with, are not pliable, conveniently going away and lying down. No, they have an uncanny habit of returning to haunt us. I visited Dachau near Nuremberg, the site of the former concentration camp. They have now a museum in that place. And at the entrance to the museum are those haunting words, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Another reason is that amnesia of this kind is victimizing the victims a second time round. The Chilean playwright Dorfman, in his Death and the Maiden, has the woman whose husband has just been appointed as chairperson of his country's Truth Commission. He has her recognize the voice of the man who has come to her house for help after his car is broken down. She's not seen him, she just heard his voice. She recognizes him as the man who, when she was in detention, had tortured her and raped her. Somehow she manages to tie him up and is ready to kill him when he denied he had done these things to her. Finally, he does admit the truth, and surprisingly, she lets him go free. His lie undermined her integrity, her identity, her memory. His admission acknowledges her and rehabilitates her identity. When you want to destroy a people, you destroy their history, you destroy their memory, and so their identity. And that is true also of individuals. We found that the telling their story to a sympathetic audience, as happened before our Truth and Reconciliation Commission, was something cathartic, something therapeutic for the many, many, and most of them, those who for so long had been the anonymous ones, the faceless ones, the ones without a voice, those who came before the commission. One young man who had been blinded after police action in his township said, after testifying, he was still blind, but he said, "You have given me back my eyes." So we in South Africa said no to amnesia, no to general or blanket amnesty, yes to individual amnesty, freedom in exchange for the truth, for full disclosure. Some have said that this encouraged impunity, but we contend differently. The applicant must accept responsibility for the deed for which amnesty is sought. They must accept accountability, Amnesty is not granted to those who are innocent or who claim to be innocent. You apply for amnesty because you are guilty. So this provision, in fact, rules out impunity. And the application is heard in the case of what the Act described as gross violations of human rights, killing, abduction, torture, and severe ill treatment. The application in that instance had to be heard in an open public hearing, not behind closed doors. It is in the full glare of TV lights and media publicity. Some have held that justice is sacrificed for the sake of reconciliation. I contend that this is not entirely the case. There is a kind of punishment meted out in the public humiliation for quite a few, and it is often the first time that their wives or community learn that their seemingly decent men were in fact members of a death squad. Some have, as a consequence, been divorced. We would argue, though, that retributive justice is not the only kind of justice. We believe that there is what we call restorative justice, where the primary purpose is the healing of a rupture, the restoration of harmony, the redressing of the balances. We believe we have uncovered much truth about our past. No one can ever again say that they did not know that the apartheid state used torture routinely, or that it did not have elements who believed they were carrying out the orders of the highest in government when they abducted and killed and buried secretly many of the then government opponents, or that the liberation movements were also guilty of gross violations. The then Minister of Law and Order, Mr. Flock, had announced unashamedly and blatantly that it was the work of the ANC, and he accused a Ms. Shirley Gunn, who as a consequence was detained for 6 months. Mr. Flock, to his credit, in his amnesty application for ordering this terrorist act, did apologize handsomely to Ms. Gunn.